You are awake, but not in the way you usually understand waking. There is no alarm, no sudden awareness of time. Instead, there is a soft noticing, a gentle sense that something has shifted. The night has loosened its grip. The air feels lighter. Somewhere above you, the sky begins to pale, not dramatically, but gradually, like a deep breath slowly released. Dawn does not announce itself. It does not hurry. It arrives the way trust does, quietly, consistently, without needing attention. The first light slides across the horizon and touches the world with a careful hand. Rooftops feel it first, then stones, then soil. And finally, it reaches what has been waiting most patiently of all: the leaves. You imagine a single leaf, still cool from the night. It has been here the entire time, unmoving, yet deeply aware. All night long, it has rested, conserving, holding its shape in the dark. Now, as the faintest light settles upon its surface, something within it responds. Not quickly, not excitedly, just willingly. The light does not strike the leaf. It meets it. Sunlight at dawn is not strong. It does not demand. It offers. The leaf receives this offering the way a calm mind receives a thought, without resistance, without rush. The surface of the leaf warms slightly, almost imperceptibly. Beneath that surface, layers of living tissue begin to stir. Inside the leaf, there is no single moment of awakening. There is a slow alignment, like instruments tuning themselves before a quiet symphony. Cells become attentive. Tiny structures, smaller than memory, shift into readiness. Nothing dramatic happens, and yet everything is beginning. You are invited to move closer now, closer than eyes can normally see. You drift inward, past the smooth skin of the leaf, into a soft green interior. The world here is hushed. There are no sharp edges, no straight lines. Everything curves, flows, and overlaps. It feels less like machinery and more like a carefully tended garden. This is a place designed for patience. Within these cells, the night has been spent preparing. Molecules have settled into place. Pathways are cleared, like quiet roads waiting for morning travelers. Energy has been conserved, not lost. The leaf has not been idle. It has been resting with intention. As light filters deeper into the leaf, it arrives in fragments. Tiny packets of energy carried across space from a star unimaginably far away. The leaf does not see the sun as a blinding whole. It receives sunlight in pieces, each one manageable, each one useful. There is wisdom in this slowness. You might imagine sunlight as something overwhelming, something powerful enough to burn. And it is. But here, in the early morning, the light is gentle enough to be welcomed. The leaf does not take more than it can hold. It never has to. It has learned, over millions of years, how to wait for the right kind of light, at the right intensity, at the right moment. This is the first lesson the leaf offers you. Readiness is not urgency. Inside, special molecules are already positioned, like open hands turned upward. They are not grasping. They are simply available. When light reaches them, they respond naturally, the way a relaxed body responds to warmth. Energy is noticed. Energy is acknowledged. Energy is allowed in. Nothing is forced. You remain with this moment, this meeting between light and leaf. It is not loud. It does not sparkle. There are no visible flashes. Instead, there is a quiet shift in potential. Something that was external has now become internal. Something that traveled through space has found a place to rest. This is how the day truly begins. Outside the leaf, the world continues to brighten. Shadows soften. Colors slowly return. But inside, time feels different. The leaf does not measure minutes. It measures conditions. It senses temperature, moisture, light quality. It listens to the environment the way a calm mind listens to breath. You notice how nothing here is wasted. Even at dawn, when light is faint, the leaf does not struggle. It does not strain to capture everything at once. It accepts what is offered, trusting that more will come. This trust is not blind. It is learned, reinforced by countless mornings just like this one. The leaf knows the rhythm of the planet better than you ever will. As the sun rises a little higher, light becomes steadier. The leaf responds by opening itself slightly more, not physically but chemically. Processes that were paused now resume, gently. Energy pathways awaken, not all at once, but in sequence. Each step waits for the previous one to settle before continuing. You sense how deeply coordinated this is. No single part rushes ahead. No single reaction demands priority. Everything moves in balance, guided by availability rather than ambition. In this way, the leaf mirrors a calm mind. Thoughts arise when there is space for them. Feelings move when they are ready. Nothing needs to be pushed. You stay here, drifting with the pace of this internal morning. You feel how the leaf's surface filters the light, softening it before it travels deeper. Some wavelengths are welcomed, others gently turned away. Not all light is useful, and the leaf knows this. What is reflected is not rejected. It is simply unnecessary. Even now, at the very beginning of the process, discernment is present. As the leaf continues to warm, water inside it shifts almost imperceptibly. Tiny movements ripple through its cells. This movement is not yet the journey. It is only a preparation, a loosening. The leaf is getting ready to collaborate with water, with air, with light. You sense that this story is not about a single element acting alone. It never has been. Photosynthesis, though you have not yet named it, begins as a relationship. Light meets leaf. Leaf prepares for water. Water waits to carry something upward. Air hovers nearby, unnoticed but essential. Nothing happens in isolation. The leaf does not know it is performing something extraordinary. It is simply doing what it has always done. There is comfort in this. The most important processes on Earth do not feel important from the inside. They feel familiar. They feel like continuation. As the morning deepens, the leaf settles fully into its role. The night is gone now, but not forgotten. The stillness has shaped this readiness. Its darkness has allowed this gentle beginning. You begin to pull back, slowly, leaving the interior of the leaf as it continues its quiet work. The sun is higher now, the light stronger, and deeper processes are about to unfold. The leaf is ready to translate this light into something meaningful. And as you drift onward, you sense that the color green itself is beginning to speak, preparing to tell you how light becomes understanding. You remain close to the leaf, but now you notice something you have always seen without truly seeing. The green. It surrounds you everywhere in the living world, so familiar that it often disappears into the background of your attention. Lawns, trees, moss, fields, all wearing the same calm shade. But here, in this quiet moment, green begins to feel less like a color and more like a message. You let yourself sink into it. Green is not what the leaf takes in. Green is what it releases. The leaf keeps the light it can use and gently turns away the rest, sending it back into the world as color. What your eyes receive as green is the leaf's way of saying, "This part is not needed." There is no rejection in this gesture, only clarity. Inside the leaf, special molecules wait just beneath the surface. They are shaped in a way that allows them to interact with light, but only with certain kinds. These molecules are called chlorophyll, though the name matters less than the role they play. Think of them not as objects, but as listeners. They are attentive, selective, deeply practiced. Light arrives carrying many voices at once. Some tones are high and sharp, others deep and slow. Chlorophyll listens and responds only to the ones it understands. Blue light, red light, these tones are welcomed, absorbed, translated. The rest is allowed to pass through or bounce away, unburdened. You realize now that green is the sound of restraint. This selectivity is not accidental. It is learned through time, refined by survival. To take in everything would be dangerous. Too much energy too quickly would overwhelm the delicate balance inside the leaf. So chlorophyll chooses. It accepts what can be used and releases what cannot, maintaining harmony through discernment. The leaf does not try to be efficient by being greedy. It is efficient by being precise. You imagine chlorophyll as a careful translator standing between two worlds. On one side, the sky sends down sunlight in a language of energy. On the other side, the leaf's inner world needs that energy converted into something stable, something usable. Chlorophyll stands in the middle, fluent in both dialects. Translation is never perfect. It requires interpretation. Chlorophyll does not simply capture light. It transforms it. Energy arrives fleeting and fast, and chlorophyll slows it down, holds it briefly, and passes it along in a form that can be worked with. This is where green becomes meaningful. You stay with this process, feeling its patience. The leaf does not panic when clouds pass overhead. It does not cling when the sun grows strong. It adjusts its listening, fine-tuning its sensitivity. On bright days, it reflects more. On dim days, it leans in closer. Always balancing, always adapting. Nothing about this is rigid. You begin to understand that reflection is not failure. When light bounces off a leaf, it is not because the leaf is incapable. It is because the leaf knows its limits. There is wisdom in this knowing. There is safety in saying no to what would cause harm, even if it seems abundant. In your own life, you have learned this slowly, often through exhaustion. The leaf learned it through evolution. Inside the chlorophyll molecule, something subtle happens when light is absorbed. An electron shifts, becoming briefly excited, lifted to a higher state. This excitement does not last long. Cannot. Energy is passed along quickly, carefully, like a whispered message moving through a crowd. You picture this movement not as chaos, but as choreography. Each step follows the previous one, guided by structure and spacing. Energy does not roam freely. It is directed, guided along pathways that have been shaped over countless generations. The leaf has had a long time to practice this language. You sense how different this is from burning. Fire releases energy violently all at once. Photosynthesis, which is only beginning here, releases nothing yet. It stores. It contains. It transforms intensity into continuity. Green, then, is the visible sign of patience. As the day continues, light becomes more abundant. Chlorophyll responds by adjusting its posture, metaphorically speaking. It does not open wider in desperation. It maintains its pace, letting excess energy dissipate safely as warmth. The leaf warms, but it does not scorch. This safety matters. Without it, life on land would not be possible. The sun is powerful, and the distance between Earth and disaster is narrower than it feels. The leaf stands calmly in that space, mediating between abundance and survival. You realize that every green thing you have ever seen is performing this mediation constantly. Forests, fields, even the smallest blades of grass are engaged in quiet interpretation, turning light into meaning without spectacle. You breathe and feel how this mirrors communication itself. Listening is not about absorbing every word. It is about understanding what matters and letting the rest pass without resistance. Chlorophyll teaches this lesson endlessly, without speaking. As you linger, you notice how green connects above and below. Leaves face the sky, but their work supports the roots hidden in darkness. The energy translated here will travel downward, nourishing parts of the plant that never see the sun. In this way, green becomes a bridge, carrying messages from light to soil. The leaf does not keep this energy for itself. It shares, distributes, sends it where it is needed. Translation always implies responsibility. You feel a gentle sense of continuity. The leaf does not know you are watching. It does not need recognition. Its language is spoken regardless, steady and ongoing. As your awareness slowly begins to drift onward, you sense that this translation is only the beginning. Understanding light is not enough. The energy captured must be handled, organized, and stored. And so, beneath the calm surface of green, quieter work begins to stir, deeper inside the leaf, where tiny structures prepare to turn this translated light into something the plant can remember. You drift further inward now, past the color and the surface, past what eyes can follow. The leaf opens itself to you not by splitting apart, but by inviting you to become smaller. Smaller than veins, smaller than cells, smaller even than the idea of edges. Here, space feels padded, softened, as though everything is wrapped in quiet intention. This is where the real work lives. Inside each cell, there is a sense of order that feels nothing like a factory and everything like a well-practiced ritual. No part is rushed. No movement is wasted. Structures float rather than sit, suspended in a gentle inner fluid that holds them exactly where they need to be. Everything has room. Nothing collides. You notice oval-shaped spaces drifting within the cell, each one containing layers folded like pages in a book. These are chloroplasts, though again, the name matters less than the feeling. They are small rooms dedicated entirely to transformation. If the leaf is a listener, these are the places where understanding becomes action. Light, already translated by chlorophyll, arrives here as potential rather than force. Within the chloroplast, membranes form stacks and sheets, curving gracefully. They are not rigid. They flex and adapt, responding to conditions with subtle shifts. Along these membranes, energy moves carefully, passed from one place to the next like a fragile object being handed through a crowd. There is no central command. No single structure controls the others. Instead, everything responds to proximity, to chemistry, to balance. One reaction creates the conditions for the next. If something slows, everything adjusts. Coordination emerges not from instruction, but from relationship. You sense how ancient this design is. These processes were refined long before forests existed, before animals walked, before breath meant what it means now. The quiet machinery inside this leaf carries the memory of oceans, of single-celled ancestors floating beneath unfamiliar skies. It has learned how to handle energy without destroying itself. Energy, you notice, is never allowed to linger uncontained. When electrons shift and excitement rises, that excitement is guided immediately into pathways where it can be used. Nothing is left buzzing, nothing overheats. Balance is preserved through motion. You imagine this energy as a thread being woven into fabric. Light arrives loose and shimmering, and inside these structures, it is drawn into patterns. Chemical bonds form and hold, capturing what was once fleeting. Energy becomes structure. Movement becomes memory. This is not creation through force. It is creation through patience. You remain here, letting the rhythm settle into you. Each step is small. Each change is precise. Water molecules wait nearby, ready to contribute their parts. Air-derived carbon will arrive later. Nothing happens all at once. The machinery does not crave completion. It only responds to the present moment. You realize that this quiet work does not depend on awareness. It continues whether or not the sun is watched, whether or not anyone understands it. Leaves perform this labor unseen, endlessly, without applause. Life depends on it, yet it asks for nothing. There is comfort in that humility. Inside the chloroplast, space feels layered. Outer membranes protect. Inner membranes process. Compartments allow reactions to occur without interference. Separation creates safety. Boundaries allow intimacy. The design feels thoughtful, even caring. You notice how often in nature, gentleness is mistaken for weakness. But here, gentleness is the only way something this delicate can endure. These membranes are thin, but they are resilient. They bend rather than break. They absorb change without losing form. Energy continues to flow step by step. Each reaction leaves behind something useful and something to be passed on. Nothing is isolated. Every product becomes a participant. The cell hums softly, not audibly, but perceptibly, with quiet continuity. You sense that this machinery does not sleep the way you do. Slows, yes, but it remains ready. Even at night, structures remain intact, pathways preserved, waiting for light to return. Rest here means readiness, not shutdown. As you float through this inner world, you begin to notice scale differently. What seems small now feels vast. Pathways stretch like landscapes. Compartments feel like rooms. The leaf is no longer an object, but a city of cooperation. And yet, everything remains calm. The energy being handled here could be destructive if released too quickly. But the machinery inside the cell is designed to slow time. It stretches moments, dividing energy into manageable portions. In doing so, it makes life possible. You feel a quiet respect rising, not as admiration, but as recognition. Your own body contains similar systems, equally patient, equally unseen. You, too, are sustained by quiet processes that never announce themselves. Inside the leaf, energy is now held in forms that can last beyond the moment. Not yet sugar, not yet structure, but something closer than before. The transformation is underway, though far from complete. You sense that this chapter of the journey is about preparation, about the careful handling of potential. Before anything can be built, energy must be made safe. Before nourishment can exist, chaos must be softened into order. The cell understands this deeply. As you begin to drift outward again, you notice a subtle anticipation in the machinery. Not urgency, but openness. Water molecules are aligning. Pathways are clearing. The next stage will require movement from far below, from roots hidden in darkness. The quiet machinery is ready, and as you rise gently back toward the surface of the leaf, you feel the suggestion of an upward pull beginning, as though somewhere beneath you, water is preparing to climb. You imagine a single drop of water resting deep in the soil, surrounded by earth, quiet, and darkness. It has come from rain that fell hours, perhaps days, ago, soaking into the world slowly. Here, underground, the drop does not rush. It waits with a patient awareness, knowing that a journey is coming, one measured in both distance and time. Roots stretch through the soil like gentle fingers, reaching, sensing, absorbing. They find this drop and welcome it without ceremony. The drop does not need to struggle. It is not pushed. Instead, it is drawn by something larger than itself, a pull from above, a gentle insistence of life. Inside the root, the water begins to move. It slips along cell walls, flows through narrow tubes, and rises without resistance. You notice how the drop does not travel alone. It is accompanied by countless other droplets, each one part of a vast current. Together, they form a rhythm that is steady and enduring. The journey upward is against gravity, yet it does not feel like labor. The plant does not hoist the water forcefully. It relies on cohesion, on the way water molecules cling to one another and to the walls of the xylem tubes. Every molecule is connected, forming an unbroken chain that carries the drop steadily toward the light. As you ascend with it, you begin to sense the subtle interplay of tension and trust. The plant does not need to strain to pull water upward. Instead, it allows the physics of cohesion and adhesion to do much of the work. Gravity resists, but energy from evaporation at the leaf surface creates a gentle suction, guiding the water along its path. You float past the root hairs, delicate as hair fibers, absorbing minerals from the soil. These minerals will hitch a ride alongside the water, tiny companions that will be used to build new structures in leaves and stems. The journey is nourishing in more ways than one. It carries not only liquid but possibility, potential waiting to unfold. Through the stem, the water continues, rising quietly in a tall, hollow tube. The cells around the xylem squeeze ever so slightly, maintaining the flow. It feels almost alive, not conscious, yet responsive. There is communication here too, subtle chemical signals that ensure the plant moves efficiently, avoiding blockages, adjusting to changing conditions outside. As the drop climbs, you notice the temperature shifting, the sunlight beginning to filter through the green canopy above. Each leaf waiting to greet the drop has been preparing, as you saw before, translating light into a language the plant understands. Together, water and energy are ready to meet. When the drop finally reaches a leaf, it does not arrive with fanfare. It slips into the spongy interior, merging with what is already present. Here, it will participate in photosynthesis, supplying hydrogen for sugar making, helping to cool the leaf, and maintaining the turgor pressure that keeps the structure upright. The journey is complete, but the drop is already part of the next step. You linger in this moment, sensing how effortless the ascent appears when seen at the scale of nature. Yet, you know it is the result of countless interactions, physical principles, and cellular cooperation. The plant does not command the water. It invites it. The water does not choose the leaf consciously. It is guided by connection and chemistry. And then you realize something deeper. The journey is never lonely. The drop you follow is part of a vast, invisible network, all working in concert. Every leaf on the tree above, every root below, every molecule within each cell is participating in this shared flow. Life, in this way, is never solitary. Even the tiniest movement echoes across the organism. You notice how the ascent of water is also a story of timing. The drop will not reach the leaf too early or too late. Evaporation at the surface creates just enough suction to pull it upward steadily, not hurriedly. Each molecule moves in coordination, maintaining a rhythm that has been perfected over millions of years. In some ways, the drop experiences the day differently than you do. It feels the pull of sunlight before you notice the morning. It senses the increase in temperature and the soft stirring of wind across the leaf surface. These subtle cues guide its journey and remind you that life operates on a scale both faster and slower than human perception. As you watch, you begin to see how the plant itself is alive in a different rhythm. Roots and leaves communicate through chemical signals, the rise of water relaying information about soil moisture, about light availability, about humidity. Every step of the drop's journey carries a message, a silent conversation between below and above. You feel how patience is embedded in this ascent. The drop does not need to rush to be useful. It travels steadily, each molecule depending on the next, each following the rules of cohesion and adhesion without complaint. There is trust here, a trust that the plant will guide it, that gravity will not overwhelm, that sunlight will be waiting at the end. The journey is also one of transformation. The drop that begins as part of a puddle in the soil becomes a participant in something far greater. Photosynthesis, growth, life itself. Its path shapes the plant's ability to thrive, to provide nourishment, to maintain balance. Even the simplest act, rising against gravity, becomes significant. You are reminded that upward movement is not always about struggle. Sometimes, it is about alignment. Being part of a system larger than yourself, trusting the connections, and responding to subtle cues. The drop rises because it belongs to a network that understands rhythm and timing. Finally, as the drop settles into the leaf, you notice a subtle shift in sensation. It is no longer just liquid. It is integrated, ready to participate in the leaf's ongoing work of capturing light. Its journey continues in a new form, part of a process that transforms sunlight into the energy that will feed roots, flowers, and fruit. It carries both matter and meaning, quietly bridging soil and sky. You step back slightly, sensing the elegance of this system. Life does not need force to move upward. Trust, connection, and timing accomplish what might seem impossible. Gravity is present, but it is not a barrier. Each step in the journey is supported by structure, cooperation, and natural law. And as you prepare to drift from the leaf once more, you feel the suggestion of the next story unfolding. The water has arrived, the light is ready, and somewhere within the leaf, molecules begin the work of capturing energy, translating it into the sweetness and strength that will sustain the plant. The quiet machinery awaits, poised to transform this journey into nourishment, and you follow, ready to witness how life folds energy into memory. You step lightly into the world of air, where matter is invisible and movement is subtle. Carbon dioxide drifts around you, unhurried, undemanding, part of the invisible pulse of life. It is everywhere and nowhere, silent yet essential, like the thought of a memory that has not yet taken shape. You reach for it in imagination, and it enters, finding the leaf, not by force, but by invitation. The leaf breathes in slowly, tiny openings on its underside called stomata drawing carbon dioxide inside. They are like doorways in a quiet house, opening just enough to allow passage, not letting in more than can be handled. There is care here, a balance maintained between what enters and what is left outside. Humidity, light, and internal pressure all influence how wide these doors can open. Carbon enters without fanfare, slipping into spaces between cells, guided by gradients and chemical cues. It does not rush, does not struggle. It moves as though it has known this path forever, and in a way it has. Plants have been inhaling carbon dioxide for hundreds of millions of years, and each molecule finds its place with patience, as if joining a long lineage of companions. Inside the leaf, carbon dioxide encounters the structures prepared to transform it. Chloroplasts, which have been gathering sunlight and arranging energy, are ready. Carbon will now become part of the leaf's inner story, combined with hydrogen from water in reactions that are as careful as they are miraculous. This is the art of transformation, turning something that drifts freely into something stable, something that can feed, sustain, and persist. You notice how gentle this art is. Nothing explodes. No forceful collision occurs. Electrons are guided, bonds are formed, and molecules shift into patterns that will eventually create sugar. The process is deliberate, slow, and rhythmic. The energy captured from sunlight flows seamlessly, directed by chemistry rather than command. Carbon feels a bit like a quiet guest entering a house it has always known. It does not cling to the edges. It is absorbed, welcomed, and folded into the life of the leaf. The same air that brushes your skin becomes something entirely different here. Potential, structure, nourishment. What floats freely outside is anchored inside. The leaf holds it, but not tightly. The embrace is careful, allowing transformation without harm. This is important because carbon is reactive. Alone, it can drift or disperse, but inside the leaf, it is guided, protected, and folded into usefulness. The leaf becomes both sanctuary and workshop. You float closer to witness the subtleties. Carbon dioxide enters the stroma, the fluid-filled interior of the chloroplast, where enzymes wait patiently. These enzymes are catalysts, facilitators of change, not controllers. They know how to hold air in the right orientation, the right moment, allowing bonds to form with precision. Here, the invisible becomes tangible. Something that once existed only as gas now becomes a component of sugar molecules, structures that can be stored or moved elsewhere in the plant. This is the leaf's promise, to take what the world offers freely and turn it into continuity. Carbon dioxide will not remain merely carbon dioxide for long. In time, it becomes part of the leaf's identity, part of the energy flow that supports roots, flowers, and future seeds. It participates in a cycle that extends beyond the individual leaf, beyond the tree, beyond the forest. The process is subtle but profound. It is not merely a chemical reaction. It is a conversation between elements, orchestrated over eons. Hydrogen, captured from water, and carbon, taken from air, combine in a rhythm dictated by the flow of energy harnessed from sunlight. Nothing is wasted. Every photon, every atom, every molecule has a role. You pause to feel the elegance of this network. Each leaf on a branch, each root in the soil, each molecule of carbon or water contributes to an unseen choreography. There is a quiet intelligence embedded in the system, one that has no consciousness but operates with remarkable efficiency. Life sustains itself not through force, but through alignment, timing, and coordination. Carbon, once drifting, now becomes part of sugar, the plant's currency of energy. This sugar will be distributed through the veins of the leaf and transported downward to roots or outward to flowers and fruit. What was once invisible air is now a carrier of life's potential. The plant stores it patiently, using it to grow, to repair, and to continue the cycle of life. Even as you observe, the leaf maintains its openings cautiously. It balances carbon intake with water loss, a delicate negotiation between the necessity of gas exchange and the risk of dehydration. This careful attention is invisible to the casual observer, yet it is essential. Life thrives here through moderation, not excess. You sense how this reflects a broader principle. Holding something, whether air or energy or opportunity, does not mean hoarding it. It means guiding it into a form that will be useful, beneficial, enduring. The leaf embodies this principle in every molecule it captures, every reaction it conducts. You notice the pace. Nothing is hurried, yet nothing is idle. The reactions within the chloroplast unfold at a tempo that allows for both efficiency and safety. Carbon bonds, hydrogen bonds, energy flows, all move in sequence, like dancers following a rhythm only they can hear. The choreography is invisible, yet its impact resonates throughout the plant. And still, the leaf does not work alone. Carbon arriving from the air is part of a larger system. The atmosphere, the roots, the soil, and the sun above. Each step is coordinated by physics and chemistry, by gradients and flows, by an innate responsiveness that has been refined over millions of years. Life is not random. It is a carefully maintained conversation. As you linger in this moment, you begin to sense that even absence is meaningful. Spaces within the leaf, the gaps between molecules, the slight pauses in chemical reactions, all create room for life to continue smoothly. Holding air is not just about capturing molecules. It is about creating balance, space, and opportunity for transformation. The leaf transforms what drifts freely into what can endure. Carbon dioxide, invisible and unassuming, becomes sugar, which in turn supports roots, branches, flowers, and seeds. Breath from the world becomes structure. What was weightless air becomes the foundation of growth. The process is silent, profound, and continuous. You feel a deep connection with the cycle. What is outside becomes part of what is inside, which then supports life far beyond the leaf. The air you breathe contains the echoes of this process, the carbon once captured and transformed, now circulating in a delicate web of existence. Everything is connected, and as the leaf continues to hold, to convert, and to release in balance, you notice the quiet anticipation of what comes next. The light that has been captured by chlorophyll will now feed these reactions, guiding carbon into sugar. The work of energy, water, and air merges, preparing to become something even more tangible, stored nourishment. The sweetness of sunlight made solid, ready to travel deeper into the plant and sustain the living network that surrounds it. And in this gentle pause, you understand. The art of holding air is also the art of continuity, a patient promise that nothing is wasted, everything is transformed, and life continues in rhythm with the unseen currents of the world. You return to the leaf, lingering just beneath its surface where light has already begun to meet chlorophyll. Sunlight is arriving in packets now, discreet and precise. It does not flood the leaf all at once. It arrives in whispers, gentle pulses, each one a fragment of energy that is carefully absorbed, transformed, and guided onward. You notice how careful the leaf is, how attuned it is to both abundance and restraint. Too much light could overwhelm it, cause damage, stress the delicate structures inside. Too little, and there would be no fuel to drive life forward. Yet the leaf does not panic. It does not struggle. It has learned, over millions of years, to manage extremes with quiet mastery. Every photon is considered. Every encounter has a pathway. The light reactions begin. This is the phase where sunlight is captured and converted into forms of energy that the leaf can use immediately. Imagine the energy arriving as tiny droplets of water falling into open hands. The hands are ready, soft, cupped just enough to hold what is offered without spilling. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is hoarded. Every bit is absorbed, processed, and sent along. Inside the chloroplasts, specialized molecules act as mediators. They catch photons and convert their energy into electrons set in motion. These electrons are tiny travelers, moving along chains of proteins embedded in the membranes. They follow precise routes, like messages passed carefully along a network of couriers. Their journey is fast, yet every step is controlled. Speed is tempered by structure. Power is tempered by guidance. You notice how excess energy is handled. Not absorbed recklessly, not left idle, but safely dissipated. Some of it becomes heat, gently warming the leaf, harmonizing with the environment. Some energy is redirected, released in ways that prevent harm. The leaf, it seems, knows how to accept abundance without being damaged by it. There is wisdom in restraint. Energy is also stored in temporary carriers, molecules that hold it ready for the next step. These molecules are like pockets of potential, small bundles of force waiting to be handed along. Here, sunlight becomes chemical energy. Light is no longer just illumination. It is potential in motion, flowing like a river through hidden channels inside the leaf. The movement of electrons is subtle, imperceptible to the human eye, yet it drives an entire system. Water molecules are split, releasing oxygen, a gift back to the world outside. You sense the poetry in this act. Energy from sunlight splits water into its components, sustaining both the leaf and the atmosphere. A quiet generosity enacted on a molecular scale. You feel the elegance of timing in these reactions. Nothing is random. Electrons move in order, protons accumulate where they are needed, and energy gradients guide the next steps. The leaf maintains balance constantly, monitoring, adjusting, absorbing just enough and letting go of excess. There is no panic, only harmony. As you drift closer, you notice the interplay between energy absorption and protection. Special pigments and proteins act as buffers, catching photons that arrive too fast, too strong, too abundant. They prevent damage while still allowing reactions to proceed. The leaf does not resist. It accommodates. The process is not rigid but responsive. It flexes with the sun's intensity, adapting in real time. This is the subtlety of life, receiving without being overwhelmed. The leaf is neither passive nor aggressive. It is a master of moderation. Light is not forced into usefulness. It is guided, folded, and channeled. Every photon finds its place. Every electron moves with intention. Every reaction contributes to the next step in sustaining life. You begin to sense the rhythm. It is cyclical yet dynamic. Energy captured in one part of the leaf flows toward another. Electrons travel along protein chains, protons accumulate across membranes, and chemical gradients form as if by choreography. The reactions pulse in harmony with the arrival of sunlight, matching its tempo without rushing or lagging. And yet, there is no sense of hurry. Even the splitting of water, releasing oxygen molecules into the air, happens quietly, deliberately, without noise or sudden impact. Life proceeds with calm efficiency, harnessing immense energy safely, transforming it without drama. You notice how the excess light, when absorbed and redirected, becomes warmth that helps the leaf maintain stability. Even surplus is useful. Nothing is wasted. The leaf teaches you patience in receiving. To act too quickly or absorb too much could be destructive. To ignore what is offered would be wasteful. Balance exists in knowing how much to take and when to release. This lesson is written in the motions of electrons, in the structure of membranes, in the very shape of the leaf. You follow a single electron as it moves along its chain, passing from one carrier to another. Each step is precise yet flexible. The electron's journey is guided by forces invisible, yet undeniable. Its motion powers the creation of molecules that will store energy for later use, molecules like ATP and NADPH, small packets of power waiting to fuel the next stage of photosynthesis. Imagine that energy, captured so carefully, now flowing like a river beneath the surface of the leaf. The river is quiet, steady, invisible. It does not crash or roar. It nourishes, sustains, and prepares. It is patient, waiting for the moment when it will be needed. And yet, its presence is vital. Life itself depends on it. Sunlight continues to fall, arriving in measured packets, not all at once. The leaf continues to listen, to translate, to mediate between energy and safety. Even as the day brightens, it does not become reckless. Even in abundance, it maintains equilibrium. Excess energy is shared with the environment, stored temporarily, or gently released. You notice how interconnected everything is. Water, electrons, protons, oxygen, energy carriers. Each plays a role in a web that extends beyond the leaf. The oxygen released will be inhaled by other living beings. The energy captured will travel through the plant, eventually fueling growth, fruit, and seed. Every reaction is both local and far-reaching, small and immense, immediate and future-bound. You linger in this understanding, feeling the gentle balance of life at work. Photosynthesis is not about hurry or competition. It is about responsiveness, about knowing limits and possibilities, about handling abundance with grace. The light reactions, though invisible, are alive with wisdom. And as you drift upward, leaving the chloroplasts to their work, you sense the promise of the next stage. The energy captured and stored in these reactions will soon meet carbon, joining the chemical dance that will transform sunlight and air into sugar. What has been caught will now be folded into something lasting, tangible, and nourishing. And so, in the quiet light of the leaf, the dance of electrons and photons continues, teaching you the art of receiving, balancing, and translating, preparing for the moment when energy and matter will meet, forming the sweetness of life itself. You follow the energy captured by sunlight as it now moves deeper into the leaf, into spaces where light itself is no longer required. This is a place that carries the echo of illumination, yet it does not need the sun's presence to act. It is often called the dark reactions, though there is nothing shadowy or hidden about it. It simply works without direct light, carrying forward the energy already gathered, patiently converting it into matter that can sustain life. Step by step, the molecules begin their delicate dance. Carbon, captured from the air, arrives here like a quiet guest, ready to be woven into something lasting. Energy from ATP and NADPH, produced in the light reactions, flows in as gentle power, waiting to be used. Everything is poised, organized, and responsive. Nothing hurries, nothing pauses unnecessarily. You imagine the process like stitching. Each carbon atom is a thread, each enzyme a skilled hand, guiding the placement, ensuring the connections are precise. The sugar molecules that will form are the fabric, slowly woven from fragments, shaped not by force, but by care. Every step is deliberate, each movement a rhythm in a larger pattern. You notice how this stage does not rely on speed. Urgency has no place here. The leaf has already captured sunlight, water has already risen, carbon has arrived. Now is the time for transformation. The energy is folded, the molecules are aligned, and the reaction moves forward with continuity, not haste. The reactions occur in the stroma, a fluid space within the chloroplast that feels like a calm interior, soft and expansive. Here, molecules float, collide gently, react predictably. Enzymes act like guides, directing collisions to ensure they produce useful compounds rather than chaos. It is an orchestration invisible to the eye, yet vital to life. You sense the patience required in this place. Carbon dioxide molecules do not all enter at once. Energy molecules do not all act simultaneously. The process is cyclical. Carbon is fixed, one atom at a time, gradually building sugars, repeating steps thousands of times per minute across countless chloroplasts. The rhythm is constant, steady, and unhurried. This is a system that knows balance intimately. It accepts what is available, stores what it can, releases what is not needed, and repeats the process endlessly. Nothing is wasted, nothing hurried. Each reaction sets the stage for the next. Each molecule participates in a carefully coordinated exchange, folding energy into matter with precision and patience. Imagine yourself moving alongside a carbon molecule. It enters the leaf through a stoma, travels through veins, reaches a chloroplast, and now moves into the stroma. Here, it will undergo the Calvin cycle, a series of chemical steps designed to rearrange its bonds into sugar. Each stage is guided by enzymes, shaped by the availability of energy, and attuned to the needs of the leaf and plant as a whole. You feel the gentle persistence of these reactions. Even when sunlight fluctuates outside, even when water supply varies, the process continues. The molecules adjust, adapt, maintain momentum. The system does not collapse under variability. It accommodates, finding stability within change. Carbon molecules are fixed, then reduced. They are gradually stitched into chains, forming the basis of glucose and other sugars. These molecules are tiny, but their significance is immense. They will travel to roots, flowers, fruits, and seeds, fueling growth, reproduction, and the sustenance of countless organisms. The leaf is quietly constructing the foundation of life. You notice how energy flows through this process. ADP molecules deliver power where needed. NADPH provides electrons to reduce carbon. Energy is not wasted. It is delivered with intention. Each transfer is precise, calculated, purposeful. The leaf has no need for drama. The reactions are their own poetry. Water molecules play a subtle role here too. Though they have already been split during the light reactions, the hydrogen atoms they provided are now woven into sugars. Oxygen has been released back into the air, a silent gift to the atmosphere, while hydrogen and electrons contribute to formation. Life flows seamlessly from one form into another. Time here feels different. It is not measured in minutes or hours, but in the completion of cycles. One turn of the Calvin cycle is not faster because it is critical. It is completed correctly because accuracy sustains life. There is no rush. There is only reliability. You notice the adaptability embedded in this stage. When carbon dioxide is scarce, the leaf conserves energy, slowing reactions without panic. When energy is abundant, reactions accelerate, but carefully. This responsiveness is subtle and continuous. Flexibility is the leaf's way of ensuring survival. Everything in the stroma is interconnected. Energy carriers, carbon molecules, enzymes, and water molecules act in concert. A single disruption is managed, absorbed, and corrected. There is a sense of harmony, a quiet intelligence guiding chemical reactions that have no consciousness but operate with the precision of a living rhythm. As you drift along, you feel the weight of continuity. Light has already been captured. Water has risen. Carbon is fixed. The leaf's work now is to integrate, to transform, to hold energy in forms that can be used beyond the moment. This is a form of patience made tangible, a rhythm of life that does not rush but persists. You imagine the sugars forming, glucose molecules emerging one by one, stitched into chains, ready to be moved through the leaf's veins. They are not dramatic in appearance. They do not sparkle or shout. Yet they carry within them the power of sunlight, the potential of life, the promise of growth. Every bite of energy, every small molecule is a story completed. And even as sugar is produced, the process remains ongoing. One cycle leads to the next. The system has no beginning or end in the conventional sense. It is continuous. Molecules are recycled, energy is transferred, bonds are formed and broken, life flows steadily onward. You sense the quiet generosity of this phase. The reactions do not exist for spectacle. They exist to sustain, to transform, to provide. They are the patient labor of nature, working without observation, without need for recognition. Life depends on them, yet they act with humility. This is where creation becomes tangible. Energy captured by sunlight, carried through electrons, delivered by molecules, is now converted into sugar. Air and water, light and structure, converge to form sustenance. Life is built from what seems insubstantial: sunlight, carbon dioxide, water, transformed into something enduring. You feel the lesson here. Creation does not require urgency. Even the most essential processes, like making sugar from air and light, can unfold with patience and precision. The leaf reminds you that efficiency is not always speed. It is accuracy, reliability, and harmony. And as you begin to drift upward, leaving the stroma and the ongoing cycles behind, you sense the next stage of the journey. The sugar formed here will travel, carrying energy through the plant, nourishing roots, stems, flowers, and future generations. What has been patiently stitched together in quiet chambers will soon be shared, sustaining life beyond the leaf itself. And so, in the stillness of the leaf, creation continues. Steady, precise, patient. Even while the sun still shines, guiding the energy that flows onward into sweetness, structure, and sustenance. You follow the sugars forming within the leaf, tiny molecules carrying the imprint of sunlight, water, and carbon. Each glucose molecule is a memory of photons, a story of light transformed into something tangible, solid, and lasting. These are not just molecules. They are records of energy captured and preserved. The leaf has transformed what once flowed invisibly through the air into something that can endure, move, and nourish. The journey of sugar begins quietly. Once formed in the chloroplasts, it slips into the veins of the leaf, entering the phloem, a network of narrow, living tubes. Here, the sugar is free to travel, yet guided with precision. The flow is not chaotic. It is not hurried. It moves along paths shaped for efficiency and safety, moving patiently toward destinations both near and far. You imagine each molecule like a letter sent along a carefully constructed postal route. The message is energy, the courier is the sugar, and the recipient may be a root, a developing bud, or a fruit yet unseen. The path is long, winding through the leaf's interior, down stems, across branches, and into hidden parts of the plant. Every twist and turn is deliberate, every pause purposeful. Along the way, sugars encounter other molecules, enzymes that facilitate movement, guide reactions, and maintain balance. Energy is not lost. Instead, it is transferred, redirected, stored, or used immediately. The leaf ensures that nothing captured from sunlight goes unused. The sugar carries not only energy but also information, signaling where growth is needed, where repair is required, and where resources can be distributed most effectively. You notice the patience embedded in this flow. Sugars do not explode outward. They do not race. They are conscious of the plant's rhythm, moving in waves, responding to chemical gradients, pressure differences, and developmental needs. Every drop of energy travels in harmony with the whole system, synchronized with water rising, with roots absorbing, with the wind whispering across leaves above. The sugars are both fragile and resilient. Fragile because their bonds can be broken if conditions become harsh. Resilient because they store energy in a form that can last, travel, and sustain. They are the leaf's gift to the plant, a tangible version of sunlight, ready to nourish wherever it is needed. As you follow one molecule, you sense the flow of time differently. The journey may take hours, days, or longer. Yet for the sugar, time is not a burden. Each step is methodical, deliberate, integrated into a rhythm that is larger than itself. The leaf has learned how to translate urgency into patience, motion into continuity. The sugars reach their first destinations, the cells of the leaf itself. Here, energy is stored, supporting maintenance and repair. Some molecules travel immediately to growing buds, feeding the formation of new leaves. Others move downward to roots, sustaining underground networks that anchor and nourish the plant. Every molecule has a role, every role is essential, and nothing is wasted. You sense the poetry in this exchange. Energy that began as light, arrived as electrons, and transformed into sugar now travels through living veins like a story being told, quietly, patiently, across distances unseen. The sunlight has become portable. What was once ephemeral now endures. Sugars are also shared with other organisms, part of a larger cycle. Bees, insects, and animals will eventually consume fruits, nectar, or leaves, dispersing seeds and energy further into the ecosystem. The leaf's labor extends far beyond itself. It transforms sunlight into sustenance, not just for the plant but for the surrounding community of life. You notice how carefully the plant balances distribution. Some sugars remain in storage for the future, a reserve against scarcity. Others are spent immediately to fuel active growth, repair damaged tissues, or develop reproductive structures. The leaf, in its quiet wisdom, orchestrates this flow with remarkable foresight. Even the act of storage is remarkable. Sugars are held in forms that can endure, sometimes as starch granules, waiting for when the plant needs them most. Energy waits without fading, demonstrating a patience that mirrors the leaf itself. The light captured hours ago, transformed in chemical reactions, persists here, ready to sustain the plant when conditions are less favorable. As you continue to follow the sugar, you sense the interconnectedness of the system. Water rises, carrying minerals from the soil. Carbon has been fixed into sugar. Sunlight has been captured and converted. Together, these elements sustain the plant and contribute to its growth. Nothing is separate. Everything is woven together. The sugars also act as chemical signals, directing growth, influencing development, and coordinating responses to the environment. They carry information as well as energy, telling roots to grow deeper when water is scarce, or flowers to develop when conditions are right. Every molecule is multifunctional, every journey purposeful. You feel the continuity of this process. Energy captured today will support the plant tomorrow. What has been stored as sugar is not lost. It becomes part of the next stage of growth, flowering, seed production, and even the leaf's own repair. The patient leaf ensures that life continues smoothly, passing energy along with care and foresight. The journey of sugar reminds you of human experiences. Energy is precious, and patience is essential. Just as sunlight is stored in sugar for future use, your own efforts, your own care, your own attention can accumulate and sustain life quietly over time. There is wisdom in delayed action, in conservation, in measured giving. You linger in the phloem, feeling the pulses of pressure that drive the movement. These pulses are subtle yet continuous, guiding sugar molecules along their pathways. The process is dynamic yet calm. There is no hurry, only steady progress. The leaf maintains balance, ensuring that energy is delivered where it is needed, when it is needed. Eventually, the sugars reach the roots, hidden beneath the soil, dark and damp. Here they feed growth, repair, and storage. They supply the plant with energy for times when sunlight is absent. They sustain networks of fungal partners that exchange nutrients in symbiosis. The energy from sunlight has now traveled from sky to soil, from photons to roots, from invisible air to tangible nourishment. And yet, the journey is far from complete. Sugars will continue to move, feeding developing flowers, seeds, and fruits. They will support future growth, reproduction, and survival. The leaf has set in motion a cycle of energy that extends beyond its own existence, a gift that carries sunlight forward in both space and time. You sense how this sweetness embodies continuity, patience, and generosity. Light captured hours ago persists now as sugar. Energy is stored, ready to support life wherever it is needed. The leaf transforms fleeting sunlight into lasting sustenance, demonstrating that creation is not only about what is produced, but also about how patiently it is held and delivered. And as you drift back from the phloem to the surface of the leaf, you feel the gentle anticipation of what comes next. The sugars, formed carefully from carbon, water, and sunlight, will soon nourish every part of the plant. Roots will grow deeper, buds will expand, and flowers will bloom. What began as light, invisible and fleeting, has now become sweet, enduring energy, poised to sustain life far beyond the leaf itself. You rise above a single leaf and see the world around it. A forest, a meadow, a garden, alive with change. Sunlight moves across the sky in slow arcs, shadows lengthen and shorten, clouds drift lazily across its path. Each shift in light is a signal, an invitation to the leaf to adjust, to modulate, to respond without struggle. The wisdom of adaptation is written not in haste but in subtlety. The leaf does not panic when clouds block the sun. It does not demand light. It conserves. Photosynthesis, that quiet alchemy, slows gracefully when photons are scarce. Energy is used sparingly, each molecule carefully allocated. The leaf senses scarcity and deepens efficiency, optimizing every reaction, every movement of electrons, every flow of water and sugar. It is a master of balance, demonstrating that abundance and restraint are two sides of the same intelligence. Shade, too, carries its lessons. Neighboring leaves may overlap, casting patterns that shift with every breeze. A single leaf experiences patches of sun and shadow, alternating rhythms that require constant adjustment. It leans toward light, subtly reorienting its surface without strain. Its cells flex slightly, its stomata regulate gas exchange, and its internal chemistry adjusts to capture what is available. There is no struggle, only gentle attunement to changing conditions. The passage of seasons adds another layer of complexity. Leaves that unfurl in spring are tender, cautious, and efficient in capturing sunlight. Summer brings longer days, more energy, yet the leaf still maintains balance, preventing excess light from damaging its delicate structures. Autumn, with its dwindling light and cooler temperatures, signals a slowing down. Photosynthesis reduces, sugars are transported and stored, and energy is preserved for future growth. The leaf moves with the rhythm of the year, sensitive to cycles larger than itself. You sense the leaf's intelligence here, not conscious thought, but responsive, adaptive behavior honed over millions of years. Flexibility is its form of wisdom. The leaf knows how to shift, bend, slow, or accelerate in response to its environment. It does not resist change. It flows with it. This flexibility is not weakness but strength. It allows survival without struggle, growth without loss, and efficiency without rigidity. You watch the movement of water within the leaf, adjusting to light, temperature, and humidity. When sunlight is strong, evaporation increases, drawing water upward more rapidly, cooling the leaf and sustaining photosynthesis. When clouds cover the sun, evaporation slows, water is retained, and reactions proceed with care. The leaf is a master of moderation, attuned to the subtle cues of the world around it. Carbon dioxide enters the stomata with similar sensitivity. The leaf opens and closes these tiny gates according to need and risk, balancing the intake of air with the preservation of water. Too much openness during hot, dry conditions would be wasteful. Too little would slow photosynthesis. The leaf negotiates continuously, responding with quiet precision. Every adjustment is a form of intelligence, a conversation with the environment in which the leaf participates willingly, gracefully, without force. Sunlight itself carries messages. Its angle, intensity, and duration inform the leaf of time, of season, of the shifting demands of life. The leaf deciphers these cues with chemical sensors and responsive structures. Photoreceptors detect light quality, triggering pathways that optimize energy capture, adjust growth, or prepare for the next phase of the year. Life unfolds in dialogue, not conflict. You notice how leaves differ in their strategies. Some are broad, capturing every available photon. Others are narrow, delicate, designed to filter light. Some thrive in shade, others in sun. Each form reflects adaptation, a unique response to environmental pressures. Yet all share a common principle. They adjust and they persist. Flexibility is survival. Sensitivity is strength. The wisdom of adjustment extends to sugars and energy. When light is plentiful, sugars are produced abundantly, feeding growth and storage. When light diminishes, production slows, sugars are rationed, and metabolism shifts. The leaf does not panic at shortage, nor does it overproduce in abundance. Timing, moderation, and balance guide every decision. Life thrives not on extremes but on responsive equilibrium. Water, too, participates in this subtle intelligence. Roots sense soil moisture and respond, drawing up what is needed while avoiding depletion. Veins distribute water efficiently, and leaves modulate transpiration. Even as sunlight and air fluctuate, the plant maintains internal stability. It is a system of checks and balances, a network of communication spanning roots, stems, and leaves. You drift through time as the leaf adjusts. Morning brings gentle light, dew glistening. Midday intensifies energy, shadows shifting rapidly. Afternoon softens, colors deepen, temperature declines. The leaf flows through these moments, capturing, transforming, and conserving energy without resistance. Its rhythm mirrors the natural cadence of the world, calm, deliberate, and mindful. Seasons change the context, adding long-term wisdom. Spring teaches growth, summer teaches abundance, autumn teaches conservation, and winter, when leaves fall, teaches patience and preparation. Each stage reinforces flexibility, the capacity to respond without struggle, and the understanding that life is cyclical, interconnected, and adaptive. Even in imperfection, the leaf demonstrates resilience. Torn edges, insect marks, or minor damage do not halt its work. Photosynthesis continues around the injured area, rerouting flows, redistributing energy, and maintaining stability. The leaf embodies persistence, showing that survival is not perfection, but sensitivity and adaptation. You feel the leaf's intelligence on a larger scale. It is not isolated. Every leaf on a branch, every branch on a tree, every tree in a forest participates in a dance of adjustment. Shade cast by one leaf becomes light for another. Energy captured by one leaf is distributed to nourish others. The system is cooperative, flexible, and enduring. You notice the elegance of balance. Energy flows, water rises, carbon is fixed, sugars are transported, and reactions adjust to changing conditions. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is forced. Life continues smoothly, maintained by a quiet wisdom that operates on both immediate and seasonal timescales. Time itself seems to slow as you observe. You are aware of the leaf's patience, its flexibility, its sensitivity to subtle changes. Survival is not speed. Survival is alignment, perception, and the graceful negotiation of circumstances. The leaf teaches you to observe, to respond, and to adjust with intention rather than panic. And as the sun begins to lower, shifting light across leaves and branches, you sense a transition approaching. Energy captured and adjusted in each leaf will soon be translated into stored sugars, shared with roots, flowers, and seeds. The wisdom of adjustment ensures that the work done today will nourish tomorrow. And so, in the slow, rhythmic shifts of shade and light, the leaf demonstrates the art of living gently but wisely. Flexible, responsive, and sensitive, attuned to the ever-changing world, ready to continue the cycle of life.